Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and yes, I know I said that you probably weren't going to get this until Sunday, but I was so excited about my books this week, especially one. There were 10 books to get through. I didn't think I'd do it, but they were all pretty much amazing this week. I had an absolute riot of a time reading these. I spent the whole night just tearing my way through these pages, soaking up all that comic goodness. Now there are 10 books to review. I should shut up and let's get on with it. So I'll be really quick with Stray Bullets issue 4 and issue 5 because they've been out a while and I've only just finally got caught up. But I have to say, you couldn't get two more differing issues in the space of what would have been a month. Issue 4, we go back to our teenage couple, the young guy who has is an amputee, he's got a fake leg, and it's just the most horrendous breakup of all time. I mean, that poor boy, as if his life isn't bad enough. He just kind of gets his heart broken, and it's one of those things where everything looks really great and they're in love and everything's going swimming and they've got really big dreams, and then David Lapham just craps all over them. He's a sadistic nature to the full. Issue 5 was weird. I thought at first it was just started off really jokingly, and it was going to go back to the kind of straight storytelling that David Lapham does in these, but it was just so over the top, it was so crazy, it was just completely unbelievable and like nothing I've read in a Stray Bullets comic before. I don't know if David Lapham's done this before. I've only read a few sparse issues from his previous ongoing series, so he may do this a few times. He may drop these kind of stories in, I don't know, but it was just crazy. Over the top violence, another kind of love couple, with our main girl protagonist deciding to give up being violent, not going to kill anyone anymore. The thrill wasn't there for her anymore, but instead she hooks up with this guy he's got no arms, he's got no legs, and he's blind. But she takes him to this other planet and gets him legs and arms and restores his sight. It's just chaotic, it's surreal, it's just mad and nothing like I've read before in Stray Bullets. A lot of fun, but definitely weird. Finally, issue 10 of 10 Grand came out this week. J. Michael Straczynski's Image book under the GhostCritic line, and like I said on my Wednesday pull list video, I'd forgotten about this completely, so it came as a bit of a surprise when it got dropped into my pull list. Not that I mind too much, it's only a 12 issue maxi series, there's only a couple more issues to go, so I'll obviously pick up the rest of the title, but let's be honest about this title. It is just Hellblazer, John Constantine for the Image line, and ever more so in this issue. It is just so similar in tone, in story, kind of twist. There's just no getting away from it. Not that it isn't that bad a story. We left our main guy, whose name has suddenly gone away from me, but he's in hell at the moment. He's fighting against a demon who is going to use this guy's body as a kind of Trojan horse to get into heaven and destroy it, and he's using the girlfriend of this guy as kind of a bribe to make him do what he wants and get into heaven. But I'm going to find out what this guy's name is, because I can't just keep saying this guy. and I'll know it as soon. Joe, of course, Joe's Comics. Joe has some tricks up his sleeve anyway. This wasn't going to go as planned for our demon in hell, and it was a fun, action-packed comic. Now, I have kind of had a go about the artist, C.P. Smith, and I'm not necessarily going to have another go at him, but the art was... It's nice art, but you are in hell, and you've made it look really, I wouldn't say nice, but polished and clean. And there's a scene where there's two little ducklings kind of waddling down the stairs, and I'm thinking... this is meant to be hell, this is meant to be scary. I'm meant to, just like when Ben Temple-Smith started this, I want to smell the evil, I want to smell the brimstone, I want to see the smoke, the fiery embers coming out the page, and you don't get it with this. And it is such a shame, because Temple-Smith would have just, he would have scored so well doing this part of the story arc, but instead we get this very kind of two-dimensional, flat-looking hell with little ducklings running around. Issue 7 of the Twilight Zone, it's onto its second story arc, and it has to be said, this hasn't been as good as the first one. Whether this is because it's a little bit too close to the bone with its story, and that is of terrorists about to blow up a city in, I think it's New York, it could be in some big city in America, and it kind of ties in with all the Islamic fundamentalists and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to think that I'm anyway educated in this, so I'm not going to presume anything, but it is very heavy on the kind of terrorist aspect. And we have poor Diana here, who has this power. She can already see this is going to happen. She's had kind of like a premonition. She is able, by somehow touching them or just being near people, she can see their stories and their pasts, and this is what you get a lot when she meets up with one of the young terrorists who is going to take this bomb into the city and let it off. It just hasn't grabbed me, this issue. It's not a Twilight Zone story. There are little bits in here that I think will be picked up in later story arcs, because Straczynski is kind of tying all these story arcs together to make a kind of final big one where they all come together. But this one certainly, and I know it's only 2 issues in, but it's certainly been the weakest. The Sandman, issue 3, Neil Gaiman, J.H. Williams III. And yes, we've waited a while for it, but it's worth the wait. I'm not quite sure, because I've been hearing rumblings that people are thinking of dropping this, waiting for the trade, because it takes so long to come out. But I will just say to you 3 words. Frankenstein alive, alive. Now, I'm not trying to compare the 2 artists, but I think they both put equal amounts of effort into their work. And you can certainly see it on the pages of The Sandman here. J.H. Williams just creates these wonderful kind of elaborate page setups, layouts. He creates these gorgeous, crazy, weird-looking characters to fill these panels and these lands. The Sandman, along with his kind of cat version of himself, as they go on this journey to the meeting of the stars. And we kind of, along the way, see some well-known characters. If you know the Sandman, if you knew like his previous work, the Vertigo big series of the Sandman that came before this, even though this is like a prequel, you will notice some characters within this issue that we've seen before in the old series. And And this is basically, it's a journey, the story. And again, we have Neil Gaiman telling the most amazing stories within this actual story that he did so well in the old series. I don't know why people can't wait for this. It's a gorgeous looking book. It's so well told. And if you have to go back and read the last 2 issues, only 2 issues, so what? They are all gorgeous. They will all just kind of reignite your passion for this title all over again. There's no way I am waiting for this to come out in trade. I'm not expecting the next issue, issue 4, to come out anytime soon, or the next issue, or however many there are in this mini-series. But we'll be looking a long time till we get the trade, which, who knows, I might pick that up as well. A new #1 from Image. Oh my gosh, what a surprise. But it's another new issue 1 from Rick Remender. It's Low, and you would think that is a complete no-brainer. He's on a winning streak at the moment with the rest of his titles. So I went into this title all guns a-blazing, expecting huge, great things. And I have to say, at the beginning, I was getting a little worried, because it didn't have the same big impact. And it's very strange at the moment. Image seem to have a lot of books that are to do with family. I mean, Saga, Black Science, to name 2. But the actual titles aren't very family friendly. You wouldn't give your kids these to read with, because as well as the kind of strong language, there also has to be of some sort, some nudity going on. I don't know, there seems to be this trend in Image Comics at the moment that there has to be some naked bodies in there, or someone dropping the F-bomb, and you just think, surely we can be a little bit more creative than this. But fortunately, the story picks up about a quarter of the way through. We have, we're on this planet, I'm not sure it is Earth, but they have a sun that is ever expanding and will eventually engulf the planet. And everyone has taken, I guess everyone has, underwater, and there are all these kind of underwater cities now. And they're looking, I'm trying to remember what they're looking for. There's meant to be a mythical place that is kind of like their saviour. You know, this is going to save them all from being engulfed in the sun, etc. But not many people believe in it. They're all very scientific about it. But there's one thing that people have given up on, apart from, one of our main characters, and that's given up hope that this is actually real and that they will survive, and they don't just have this short-term lifespan left before they come to an end. And we have this family unit. We have a mother, a father, and the 2 kids. 3 children, 1 older brother and 2 younger sisters. And the 2 sisters are being taken out into the ocean in this kind of submarine spaceship type thing. And there's all this nonsense about a suit that can only be activated by your bloodline and everything. They're all going out for their first time, and you just know something bad is going to happen, and that is when it really does pick up, because we have these underwater kind of sea pirate rapscallions who have lured our family into a trap. It all gets a bit violent, it all gets a bit rough. Everyone has a pop at each other, and we are left with the children being kidnapped. The father partially blind, well, he'll be blind in one eye, that's for sure, and the mother having been smacked around a little bit. But it looks like going to be a very female, strong leading title. They're certainly pushing the mother as the strong one who is going to probably go and get back her children from these kind of sea pirates. It was beautifully drawn by Ticini. I have to say my last look at Ticini artwork was in Uncanny X-Force, which was a superb run as an entirety. But then Ticini came on for a story arc, and the artwork was just awful. It probably just didn't suit the book. Because in this it looks gorgeous. He's created the most gorgeous underwater cities. He has that kind of fluidity of this painted style, and there's, you know, he can show an action scene. He has all his characters, they all look very different, they all look expressive. So as a whole, I'm more impressed with Lowe than I began this book with, and hopefully you guys will too. It's our weekly look at Batman Eternal issue 17, and yes, we're still in Arkham Asylum after waiting what seemed like months for them to actually get inside there. Batwing and Jim Corrigan are inside battling undead kind of zombies and demons, but what this book this week does is give us kind of a bit of a backstory on our next villain, Deacon Blackfire. For those of you who don't know him, you will pick up kind of like the bare bone facts of what happened in this, The Cult, by Jim Starlin. If you want to read more about characters that go on in here, then The Cult is definitely worth a pick up, and obviously will flesh out the kind of backstory origin of Deacon Blackfire, how he how he works, what he wants, how he gets what he wants, and his connections to Batman. But like I said, it's very succinctly done, very briefly done, but at the same time very effectively done, I thought. Like I said, we've got Corrigan, we've got Batwing, they're fighting, and there's no way of winning here. They are just getting lost in kind of the catacombs, the lower levels of Arkham Asylum, and it just seems like there is no hope. And it's strange, this story, because at the moment it's very difficult to understand how this right now connects into the bigger picture, or is this just a kind of sideline story that will inevitably wear down Batman all the more for when this reaches its kind of finale story arc, where we have already seen a battered and worn down Batman hung up on this big kind of cross, Gotham ablaze behind him. So at the moment it just seems very strange, and again, this is almost, in fact, I don't think he is in here. I don't think Batman turns up once, if I remember rightly. Because what else is going on in here is we hook back up with Red Robin and Harper, who have made it to Japan and have confronted Sergei, is it Alexandrov, all about his nanobots, which he denies using. They're like a defunct version of them, though Red Robin doesn't believe him. I like the relationship that is building between Red Robin and Harper Row. They make a good coupling, because, you know, they have this kind of, already you can see it, this kind of love-hate relationship. Red Robin treating Harper very much the rookie, though she's got more than enough tricks up her sleeve to make sure she kind of stays out of trouble. So I really enjoyed that, though it was a brief glimpse. but not as brief as the pointless part of this issue, and that is once again Julia Pennyworth chastising her father for being a mere butler. And just in those 2 pages, I was just screaming at them saying, Alfred, just tell her that Bruce is Batman. Just do it. Shut this woman up, because this is all she seems to be fixated on. And it only lasted a couple of pages, but it annoyed me. However, look at the cover. I mentioned it on Wednesday. It's got kind of the Spectre in the cape of Batman. And no, we haven't seen him yet. I mean, for God's sake, what does it take to draw this guy out into the open? You've just resurrected Deacon Blackfire. He's just sent off a ton of winged demons into Gotham. What more does it take? Hopefully, very soon, we'll see the Spectre. What a doozy of an issue East of West number 14 was this week. They just got better and better as I kept reading and reading. Right at the very beginning in this book, we have the fallout, or at least the first fallout that we know of, regarding the big explosion at the summit meeting between all the nations of this world that we are reading about, and that is the death and funeral of President Burkhart. Now, what is fantastic about this is the cunning of our character Archibald Chamberlain, and the fact that maybe the president could still have been alive if not for Archibald, but he has his own agenda, obviously, and this is what comes out in the first part of this story. It is a very, very kind of tense start, which only gets more horrific and monstrous as we go on, as we go back to our 3 kids of the apocalypse, those immensely evil 3 brats that are all after Death's son, and they are trying to get the help of the guy who's holding the message, who's become this awful, horrendous, horrific monster, so beautifully, if that is a word, drawn by Dragotta on here. This was amazing, the artwork on this. They really made that kind of monster come alive. It was scary, it was gruesome, it was menacing, and just having the body of the guy who has the message, who believes the message, who kind of like foretells the message, and he's stuck inside, literally like kind of like the alien pods. He's like stuck, all skin, and it's painful to look at. They want to use him to find out the location of Death's son. And it seems to work. I don't quite know. That's the bit that I didn't quite catch. Maybe on a reread I might work this out, but they seem to have found at least the location a lot sooner than Death has, who we saw last time being shot at by a kind of bounty hunter, a very skilled bounty hunter, who eventually, as in good all Marvel team-up storylines, they've become kind of buddies for a while and teamed up. But they have to part their ways here now that kind of our bounty hunter has shown Death exactly where he needs to go to find his son. Clearly his son is the centre of this universe. What will happen? What is the future of this universe? It's just great stuff. Enthralling, intriguing, action action all the way, not all the way through, but certainly a lot of the way through, and just monstrous, horrific in all the right places and in all the good places. Again, East of West, just an amazing issue, and I'm so glad I stuck with it. I'm not a huge fan of Hickman, but this is a standout title. It was the climax, it was the final, it was this bumper-sized issue. It's Fatale, issue 24, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' crime noir occult story coming to an end, which is sad. It's a shame. It would maybe have been nice to have a few more of those kind of one-shots of past incarnations of Josephine in here, but it's run its course. Ed Brubaker had a story to tell, and he told it magnificently. He just had that kind of sweeping upgrade to where we get to the final, and not necessarily everything's explained, but certainly he's tried his very best at wrapping everything up. Does everyone come out well in this? Does Josephine have a happy ending? Does Nick get his happy ending? Well, obviously I'm not going to spoil it that much for you, but there is certainly death, blood, violence, scary tentacle-headed monsters, occult carvings. There's a little bit of a history lesson at the beginning about a white owl, and it's the usual dark, grimy, graveyard, men in hooded kind of masks, and it was just good. It was very good. It was a satisfying finish to this kind of 2-year-long, probably a little bit longer because I think they had a break now and again, series. This has been my first, believe it or not, kind of foray into Ed Brubaker's kind of creator-owned work. I know he's got another one coming out very, very soon, probably next month, called The Fallout. May pick that up. I have other issues that I want to pick up maybe before that, and that might be a trade. But this certainly has me hooked on their style of work. Stuff like Sleeper, I'm Criminal. I certainly want to go back and find and probably pick up in trade if I can, when I can afford it. But for this issue, it stuck to its guns. It came out guns a-blazing, and I just really, really enjoyed it. It has a kind of bittersweet ending for Josephine, but I think everyone ended up really where they should have to complete this story. Let's just say I don't think there's going to be a Fatale 2. It's issue 7 of Black Science, and I love this book. I love it so much. If you saw my late night tweet on Wednesday, you would know that I was just absolutely overwhelmed with this title. It is an epic return after their hiatus. I can't understand anyone who wouldn't like this, just based on this issue alone. It was amazing. Remender, Scalera, White. These are like a super team of comic book creators. They all have their part to do, and they do it outstandingly. They create yet another alien world that just looks so well realised, so immersive, so cinematic, and the action is non-stop from the very beginning to the very end. It's just, the artwork, it's like pure eye candy. There is not a page that I'm not trying my hardest not to drool all over. So beautifully drawn, painted, coloured, the works. Rick Remender once again telling a great story to go along with these visuals, where we have this kind of monologue from We're not quite sure who at the very beginning, but by the end we certainly know it is Kadir, who has started out on this title as kind of the evil, kind of the bad guy of this team of scientists we have. But after the events from the final issue, issue 6, he's kind of turned a corner somewhat, and he is doing his utmost to save the children of the family that are within our band of scientists. And you know, it has that kind of bittersweet tragedy to it. But we've already seen here that in this title that there are other dimensions. There are going to be other realities with other versions of these kids in them, and you wonder, are they going to interweave between these dimensions and take these characters out of their home dimensions maybe? But it was just a race from start to finish. It was like a James Bond action car scene, but it was on an alien world where you are tied up to a car that is being pulled by a kind of fish horse. And you have all these kind of scaly alien fish people coming after you with spears and wanting to eat you. Just amazing sci-fi, pulpy adventure, comic book goodness, and god damn it, will you go out and buy it. Phew, we got through it. You and me together, thank you for sticking to the very end. They are my thoughts for the comic books this week. Amazing stuff from the comics. Image are just doing amazing stuff this year, and they're going to still keep throwing this good stuff out at us. What else is there to say? I'm worn out. If you're new here to my channel and you just liked all the madness that went on before, then hit the subscribe button and you won't miss out on any more of my videos. Monday, I pose a question of the week to you. Wednesday, you get to see what comics I picked up. And Friday, well, you're already watching it. It's my review show of the comics I picked up on Wednesday. Thank you to all the people that have been subscribing to me lately. Thank you so much, it is always appreciated. Give me a big thumbs up if you like this video, and let me know what you thought of my reviews on the comics I picked up. What are your thoughts on the comics I picked up? What are your thoughts on the comic books you picked up that I didn't pick up? Because not all of us here make videos, but I want to hear what you're reading about. So, till next week, hopefully it'll be a shorter week. Bye!